Hello and welcome to this week's yarn chat. My name is Nicole and I am the brains and the beauty behind Yarn Craft by Nicole. And today's featured make, we've got some very small little featured make. These are just some granny square earrings that I made. I actually made them for a craft fair and they didn't sell, these were my favorite pair. I loved how they were mismatched. So I was kind of glad when they didn't sell, but they go with my Marvel sweatshirt today. My husband and I are going to go see the Marvels tonight, and we are both already decked out in Marvel stuff, so these felt appropriate. And guys, I've got lots of fun things to show you. A couple of finished makes, some really fun whips. I don't think any new yarn though. I don't think so, but let's get into it. So the first thing I want to show you is actually something that I made, I don't know, over a month ago. And this is a design for a kit with Wonderland Yarns. I do some designing with them. And this was for their DeStitchNation November colorway. So I made this beautiful cowl called the Woods Cowl. I'll let you get in there so you can see all the yummy texture of that. Yes. And this colorway was inspired by Beauty and the Beast. When I design a kit with them, usually what happens is that I don't see the colorway until a couple months before when they send it to me. So when I saw this color, well, first, I love Beauty and the Beast, and I knew it was going to be Beauty and the Beast inspired. And so I was like, yes, this is the month that I want. And when this color came in, I'm like, I think that this needs to be a unisex design. I think that this design needs to be something that I could wear, my husband could wear, anybody could wear. So it uses 1 skein of DK weight yarn. And for this month, the only place that you can get it is if you buy it or if you buy the Wonderland yarn, the Beauty and the Beast colorway. The name of this cowl is the Woods Cowl, which also felt appropriate. I'm gonna throw this on so you can kind of see what it looks like on. And I actually had my husband, yeah, it's real cute, model it for me. So it's kind of funny. I was on Instagram the other day and I saw a local yarn store post a picture of like the front page of the pattern that has his picture on it, very large, and then the yarn like promoting it. I was like, look, you're in Indiana. He's like, where are my royalties for this? But yes, I think it looks great. I think I might actually work it up in a worsted weight yarn too, just to see how that looks before the pattern reverts back to me and then I release it. But yeah, this is the Woods Cowl, available this month with Wonderland's DeStitchNation. And they have a different colorway that they do every month for DeStitchNation, where this year they were all inspired by places in literature. So they were, I think most of them were also fairy tales this year, if I'm remembering correctly, but I think it came out really well. It uses a lot of the alpine stitch. Let you see that texture again, maybe a little bit on the back. And I think it really just shows off how pretty this yarn is. I love it. And you work it flat and then you seam it together. So if this looks complicated, it's really not. It's really not that complicated. So happy to be able to show this to you because I think it came out great. I've done a lot of cowls this year. Sometimes I feel like with patterns I get stuck, not stuck, but I get in like a loop of theme and variations of like, well, while I'm working on this, I have this idea for another thing that's similar but different. And I've had a lot of cowls this year, but I'm proud of them. I think they look really good. The other thing that is finished is just too cute. The fastest sweater I've ever made. Look at it. This is for a baby girl. Ugh, it's so cute. I can't deal. So for this, I didn't have a pattern. I worked it in panels the same way that I worked Vaughn's V-neck, but I didn't do any shoulder shaping. So the arms were a lot simpler to do, but I did a V-neck the way I did his. And I used a little bit more of red in hers since I did the style of sweater that I did for his. So I feel like it's a good mix of the two of us, and it's, you know, it's two-tone of the two colors of sweaters that we're going to be wearing. So very excited about that. I really like it. I used Berroco Vintage for this, and all the sweaters are just so cute. I can't wait until Christmas comes and she gets here. And then I also, because I couldn't leave Scoot out, I made Scoot a little dog bow tie. And instead of two-tone Tunisian, I just striped it. And it also came out very cute. He loves it. I've had him try it on. He likes wearing bandanas and sweaters. He doesn't like wearing anything on his head. The first year that we did a Christmas card with me, Vaughn, and Scoot, we bought him these little like antlers that went on top of his head that made him look very much like Max from the Grinch, and he hated it. So it was very hard to get a good picture of that. But he loves wearing bandanas, sweaters, so he has already enjoyed trying that on. And yeah, expect to see some Christmas pictures probably on Insta of all of us wearing those this year. I'm very excited. I can't wait. And I'm glad that they're done. It's a big win to know that like that was an ambitious goal and that I accomplished it with plenty of time. Yes. Speaking of ambitious goals, I think, well, okay, I've got 2 gift makes and 1 design. So I'll show you the design next. I showed you this design, I think it was last week, for this granny square. You might notice it's still not blocked. So I wrote the pattern while I was working this one up. And now that I am happy with the pattern, I am making a second sample that I'm doing with pictures for the blog. So this will be a free pattern on the blog for this. And this is using Amanda Knits Mini Club. So I worked on the second sample yesterday, and I was so close to being at the end. I had gotten all the way through, and because I've been working on it all week, done a little bit every day, taking pictures for it. So I had gotten all the way through the medallion part in the middle, and then I had gotten to the row where you actually make the corner. So I had gotten all the way up to here on the second sample. And as I was making the corners, there are like 4 of these little diamond motifs. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 in between each corner. And as I was doing that on my sample, I got to the last row and I was like, there are 5 diamond motifs instead of 4 on this last row. So I looked at it and I'm like, I think I know what that means. I think that means that I have a base of 17 instead of 16. Which means that if that was wrong, that means that this row was wrong. And so I counted the center, like the first row of puff stitches that I did, and I had 17, which meant that all the way to the beginning was wrong because I can't count when I am pregnant. And so I took a moment and it's like, that's a real shame because this is fingering weight and my hands wear out super quick. I kind of wanted to get this pattern out this week, and that's just not gonna happen. So I did remake the center. What I did is I said, frog it now, because it's just going to make you mad to come back to this and have to look at it again and correct. So go ahead and rip everything out, and then make sure that the center part is correct today. That way tomorrow when you pick it up, or later today when you pick it up, it's right and you know that it's right. So that's what I did. So I finished the new center. We'll see if it'll, there we go. The new center. Oh, come on, you were just cooperating. You can do it. There we go. This morning actually. And so now I'm ready to add in the second color, which is really pretty. I don't know if you remember these from the last time I showed them, but they were very spider inspired. I'm very surprised I said that correctly the first time. So I will continue working on this weekend, doing a little bit at a time, and then hopefully next week this will be a free pattern on the blog. But that was my frustrating fail this week, but it looks so good. And you know, I was thinking, I was like, man, do I even need to take these like step-by-step pictures for the blog? Like, I can just have the finished one that's right, a picture at the top, and then all the instructions, and it'll be fine. And it's like, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. I could hear my mom saying that in my head. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And you know, what would you want if you were doing this on a blog? What would make you feel good that you were doing it correctly? Because it's not a simple pattern, you know, it's not crazy hard, but it's at least an intermediate pattern. And I would want pictures. So pictures are happening, and expect to see that soon. I've got that and one other one that I think I can do on the blog before baby girl gets here, but we'll see. Everything just takes a little bit longer than I think it will. All right, the next two things are gift makes. So I don't think either my mom or my mother-in-law watches this every week, but if you are watching, mom, mother-in-law, just go ahead and skip to the end because you're not allowed to see these. I talked a little bit last week about some yarn I had gotten from my new favorite local yarn store in Mount Kisco called Pick Up Every Stitch. I went to their knit group last week, which was a lot of fun. Great yarn store, great selection. Really liked it. And I showed you some yarn I had gotten called Knit by Numbers is the brand, and it's very soft. It's a DK weight yarn. I think it's 100% merino. I'd have to find the tag, but anyway, this was the base color for a pillow I was going to make for my mother-in-law. So let me show you what I did first. I wanted to make her a pillow that said Grandma's House and had a little house color work in it, because she had liked a pillow that I made for myself that had little houses on it. So I did what any rational person would do. I pulled out my graph paper and spaced everything out, made sure I was happy with the size of it, and got to work on the pillow. The pillow's gonna be pretty small, about 14 inches square. I did some math to make sure that this was not so large that it would like not have any gaps on the edge of the pillow, and not so small that it was hard to read. And yes, and that all of the letters were the same dimension, so like they're all 6 wide, 10 tall stitches, and that each block is 1 stitch. That's all single crochet. So I did that. Even though I can't count when I am pregnant, most of the time I still can math, which is helpful. So I did that, and then I got rocking and rolling, and oh my word, it's so good. You're not ready. Again, if you're watching mother-in-law, just go ahead and skip to the end. You're not allowed to see this. I got a little knot here. It's so good. And I was showing my husband last night. I was like, did I misspell anything, or just kind of joking, like, how does it look? And he was like, yeah, I think there's just 2 letters you need to flip. And I was like, what? He's like, obviously I'm joking. For whatever reason, his sarcasm when I am pregnant, it always feels like he's not being sarcastic. Even if I start it and I'm being sarcastic, it always seems like he's being serious. But I'm really happy with it. I had the navy, I want to say it was Fiber Story. It was left over from another project. This is actually left over from the winter Woods Cowl, and I'm going to do a little button for the doorknob. Like a teeny little button. I'm so happy with it. My plan is to finish the front panel today, and then in the back I'm going to do a little slit so that you can take the cover off of the pillow if it needed to be cleaned, and I'll block it and then seam everything together. But I'm happy with this. It'll be a Christmas gift that's finished in enough time, which makes me happy. I've loved working with the yarn. It's a good mix of, it's soft, but it's not slippery. So it worked really well for color work, and it'll still be comfy to lean against. It's not scratchy at all, but I really like this. I'm pretty proud of that. And it's been a while since I've done something. I'm trying to remember the last time I did something that had a text that was color work. It was cool to do. I'm a big fan. Oh, and I got this cool hook from Hooks by Holtby. I was influenced by Teal Yarn Crafts, as many of us were, when she showed this hook that she had. Maybe it'll focus. No, you want to do it. On her Instagram recently. And there you go. It looks like a pencil, and it's great. It fits really well in my hand. I like the fact that she has the size as if it was like a number 2 pencil. It says number G, and then the millimeters, and then her brand, like all of it is not going to rub off. It's underneath whatever coating is on this. So like whatever resin or whatever she puts on this. But I like it a lot, and it's worked really well for this. I wanted to buy another size G hook because the one that I have that's ergonomic is a wooden hook by Furls, and it just keeps catching on a lot of these more rustic yarns. So this one has flown on this project. I really like it. The teacher in me is a big fan. She also has some that look like crayons that are super cute. She has an Etsy shop. I'll try to put a link down below. Hooks by Holtby. Very cute. All right, the last one I'm going to show you is a gift from my mom. Again, Mom, if you're watching, goodbye. Can't see any more of this. And I'm also ridiculously pleased with this. My mom is a big quilter, and she made a quilt for my husband and I when we got married, and it's got 3 different types of stars on it. And I think it's called like Scatter Stars quilt. Like, that's the name of the pattern. So I saw a person on Instagram called Tipsy Tessie. Hopefully I will also remember to put that in the description, who uses quilt patterns as inspiration for making granny squares that are solid granny squares and replicates quilt patterns. So I was like, all right, I can figure this out. And I did. She doesn't have any patterns that she sells, but I was able to look at the pictures that she had done and like zoom in really close and like figure out how she had done them. I think most of hers are fingering weight, and I'm using worsted weight with mine, which I think I think hides the yarn a little bit better than if I had used worsted weight. Hers are gorgeous. You should check her out on Instagram. Tipsy Tessie. So let me show you. I'll show you this one first. So this is a panel, a small panel that I did. Get my face out of here. Where you do half and half solid granny squares. And for me, when I was figuring out the size that I wanted to make this, it's going to be a table runner. I had specific yarn I wanted to use. I had a little mini bundle from Woolstock Berroco. See if it'll focus. Maybe yes, maybe no. I will say that the lights are really bright today because it's super dark outside. It might not focus. Blue Sky Fibers, Woolstock, Fine Highland Wool worsted, little 5 grand mini hanks. So I had a bundle of these and I was like, what better way than to use them for something like this? And I bought more yarn at the yarn store I was telling you about, Pick Up Every Stitch, same brand. And this is like the background color. And I love it. So for the half and half ones, I did 2 rounds of double crochet, 1 round of single crochet, and basically you carry the yarn you are not using in the yarn that you are using. And it looks really good. Very happy with this, very pleased with this. So my plan is, like, this is one of the motifs that's in our quilt. And there are 2 bigger stars that are also in our quilt. So I did this. Y'all aren't ready. This is one of the bigger stars. And then I'm using the smaller panels as like in between. So it'll be this one, this big star. There's another one that'll be right here. And then the other panel will go right there. And then what I think I'm gonna do is do a border of leftovers of these colors, like little squares all the way around, and then do a bigger border on that to make it like a decent sized table runner. But I am so happy with this. I'm so happy I was able to figure it out. I'm so happy with the way that it looks like the quilt that it's supposed to look like. And I'm just ridiculously pleased. And then my brain is again going on patterns and like themes and variations of like how to use this in the future. And what I think I want to do, not before the new year, I have too many things to make, is to take a quilt block that I like, make it bigger than this, like make it a little bit bigger than this, and make a cocoon cardigan. Like have that be the center of the back. Kind of like if you've seen where you take a giant granny square and then you sew up the sides and you wear it like a shrug, like that, but with this on the back, like a big quilt motif. I think it would be super cool. And then it also hit me like you could do a little tote bag with this too. So if I do that, I will do some sort of a blog tutorial where I show you how I do it, because it's too cool not to share. I love it. The other the other thing that I've had to figure out is that these little 5 gram hanks can do two half squares, so, or 1 full one. So the last motif that I'm going to do is similar to this, but basically like where this one is like a quarter of the square, it would just have a solid. So it almost looked like a parallelogram when these two are connected. And so it needs to be all the same color. And I don't have enough of the little mini hanks of any one color to do that, which will let me buy 1 more skein of the Woolstock in a blue, because it doesn't have any blue in it. There wasn't any blue in the bundle. I took out all the pink. Anyway, but my mom likes blue. So I think that when I go to Knit Night tonight, I will pick up like a 50 gram hank of the blue, do that for the last one, and then again, have fun with all of the leftovers for the rest. This is coming along really well. I got a lot of work done on this Tuesday and definitely felt it in my hands the next day. But yeah, that is the last whip. I've got a couple of other like scarves that I'm working on. Those are pretty much in the same place that they were last time. They might be a little bit longer, but not a ton. And I haven't received any other new yarn. I have bought other yarn as like Christmas pre-orders, but have not received anything else. So with that, I will wrap it up with what I can't let go. And this week it's community. Community is what I can't let go of. We had a really great weekend where we got to see some friends from Michigan in the city. We went to the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens and walked around, and then I had a call with a couple of other friends from Michigan last night, and it makes such a big difference to have community, whether that's people that are physically close to you that you can see, like this knit night that I've started to go to, or this making night that I've started to go to. It can be so hard to find your people in a new place, and you feel it when it's not there. And it's been good to have like some reminders of what good community feels like, and like get a little positive reinforcement there. So if you have the opportunity at all to find some community this week, I hope that you take it, because it does make a big difference. And with that, I will see you next week. Bye, guys.